This carving is 3,000 years old, and millions of people online are convinced it shows a helicopter. So before we go any further, who's actually right here? The viral version of this story has 40 million views. The actual archaeological explanation? 40,000. Today, we're going to fix that imbalance. What if every single time we call something unexplainable, we're actually just not looking hard enough? What if the real answer is more interesting than the myth? 5 ancient symbols, 5 viral myths, and the actual archaeological truth behind every single one. This is, are we misreading ancient symbols? 5 symbols. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which theories hold up under scrutiny and which ones collapse under 5 seconds of basic research. Let's get into it. This is the Temple of Seti I, built in Abydos, Egypt, around 1280 BC. And somewhere on this wall is the single carving that has broken the internet more than any other artifact in history. I'm going to be completely honest with you. When you look at it without any context, it genuinely does look like a helicopter, a submarine, and a fighter jet, all in the same frame, which should immediately tell you something. What you're actually seeing is called a palimpsest. Ramesses II plastered over his father's carvings. The plaster eroded. 2 completely separate sets of glyphs merged into one image. No helicopter, just time doing its thing. Every professional Egyptologist who has physically examined this site reaches the same conclusion. The overlapping glyphs are a well-documented restoration artifact. This is not a fringe opinion, it is the consensus. Our brains are pattern recognition machines. We evolved to see faces in clouds and animals in stars. Seeing a helicopter in overlapping stone carvings? That's called apophenia, and it is literally why these videos go viral every single time. You know what those glyphs actually say? He who protects his father and pleases the gods. That's a royal title, and honestly, I think that story is way more interesting than a helicopter. But okay, if the helicopter is explained, what about this one? Because this one is harder. And the ancient alien crowd has been using it as their #1 piece of evidence for over 50 years. This is Palenque, deep in the jungles of Chiapas, Mexico. In 1952, archaeologists cracked open a tomb that had been sealed for over 1,200 years. What they found inside completely changed Mesoamerican archaeology. Erich von Däniken looked at this carving in 1968 and said, "That is an astronaut piloting a rocket ship." And I want to be fair here. Presented completely without context, you can absolutely see why he said that. His name was Kinich Janab Pakal. He ruled Palenque for 68 years, longer than any other recorded Mesoamerican king. And this carving has nothing to do with a rocket. It's about death, descent, and rebirth. What looks like a rocket nozzle is the mouth of the underworld, Xibalba. What looks like a joystick is the world tree, the axis connecting heaven and earth in Mayan cosmology. Every single element has a fully documented meaning. Maya epigrapher Linda Shale spent 30 years deciphering Palenque's inscriptions. Her conclusion: every element in this carving has a precise parallel in documented Mayan religious texts. 0 elements require any extraterrestrial explanation. This is confirmation bias. You decide what you want to see, and then you find it. Von Däniken decided it was a spaceship in 1968. Every single interpretation he made after that moment was reverse-engineered from that one conclusion. 2 down, 3 to go, and the next one, a wooden bird found in an Egyptian tomb, is the one that legitimate aerospace engineers actually took seriously. This one gets interesting. This is the Saqqara Bird, found in an Egyptian tomb in 1898. Dating to around 200 BC, made of sycamore wood, wingspan of 7 inches, and it has a vertical tail fin, something that no bird in nature actually possesses. In 1996, aviation engineer Simon Sanderson built a functional scale model using the Saqqara bird's exact proportions. He added a small horizontal tail piece, and it glided perfectly for 200 feet. That is not nothing. Here's the problem though. Ancient Egyptians made hundreds of wooden bird figures as religious offerings to Horus. The Saqqara bird may be exactly that, a stylized votive offering where the vertical tail is simply a stylistic artistic choice. Honest answer? We genuinely don't know, and that's completely okay. Not every ancient mystery needs a definitive answer today. The Saqqara bird is debated among serious researchers, and that uncertainty makes it more interesting than either extreme. The Nazca Lines in Peru cover over 1,000 square kilometers. Some figures are more than 1,000 feet long. They're only fully visible from the air. And for decades, nobody could convincingly explain how or why ancient people made them. These perfectly straight lines stretch for miles across the desert with zero deviation. No curves, no drift, and the ancient alien theory says, these are landing strips, built for spacecraft, so let's actually test that claim properly. Landing strips need width, runway lights, cleared approach paths, ground control infrastructure. The Nazca Lines average about 3 feet wide. A modern Cessna's wheelbase is physically wider than most of these lines. They cannot function as runways. Anthropologist Johann Reinhard spent decades on this. His conclusion: they're ritual walkways, sacred paths connecting water sources and mountain shrines in a desert culture completely obsessed with obtaining rainfall. They were meant to be walked, not flown over. A modern research team replicated a full Nazca figure using only wooden stakes, basic rope, and simple geometry, in a single afternoon. No computers, no lasers, no alien assistance required, just patience, planning, and a clear sense of purpose. The Dendera Temple in Egypt has a carving that electricity enthusiasts have been calling an ancient light bulb since the 1930s. And I want to be upfront with you, at first glance, it genuinely looks like one. The theory connects this carving to the Baghdad battery, a clay jar that can actually generate a small electrical current. The claim is that ancient Egyptians had working electric lights, which raises one obvious question. So why are the temple interiors so completely dark? The lotus emerging from a vessel is one of the most common motifs in all of Egyptian art. It represents creation and rebirth. The identical image appears in papyri, jewelry, and tomb paintings across 3,000 years of Egyptian history. None of those other versions have ever been called a light bulb. Extreme close-up, zero context, no cultural knowledge provided. That is how every single one of these viral videos operates. They isolate one detail, cut everything else away, and then let your brain fill in whatever it's been trained to see. Here's the actual mechanism. One fringe book makes a claim. A YouTube video clips it out of context. That video gets 40 million views. The peer-reviewed academic rebuttal gets 40,000. And the myth gradually becomes more culturally real than the truth. Real archaeology is slow, careful, deeply collaborative. It takes years. It requires peer review. It requires multiple independent researchers reaching the same conclusion independently. That process isn't as exciting as a thumbnail, but it's the only thing that is actually true. To be completely fair, genuine archaeological mysteries absolutely exist. Göbekli Tepe was built 12,000 years ago, 6,000 years before Stonehenge. The Antikythera mechanism is a 2,000-year-old analog computer. Real mysteries are out there. They just don't require aliens to explain them. Thousands of human beings, without computers, without power tools, without GPS of any kind, looked at a desert and decided to build something that would last forever. And they did. That story doesn't need aliens. It just needs our respect. Von Daniken published his book in 1968, 1 year before the moon landing. Every person on Earth had rockets on their mind. He looked at a 1,200-year-old Mayan carving and saw what his world had taught him to see. We all do this. The question is whether we catch ourselves doing it. Next time you see a viral ancient mystery video, ask 3 questions. What is the original source? What does the full archaeological context say? And has this been tested with peer-reviewed methodology? 3 questions. That is the entire toolkit. 4 explained by existing archaeology. 1 genuinely uncertain. That's the honest scorecard. And the one that's uncertain, the Saqqara Bird, is uncertain because we haven't found enough evidence yet. Not because of aliens. The aliens did it theory doesn't make ancient people more mysterious. It actually makes them less. It takes their achievement completely away from them. The real story, that humans just like us built all of this, is the most extraordinary thing I have ever heard. Tell me in the comments, which of these 5 symbols surprised you the most? And if you still think one of them is evidence of ancient aliens, I genuinely want to hear your argument. Come make your case down there. Next video, 3 ancient technologies that are actually, genuinely, scientifically mysterious, and have absolutely nothing to do with aliens. The Baghdad battery generates real electricity. Do not miss it. If you believe ancient history deserves better than viral myths and out-of-context thumbnails, hit subscribe. We dig into the actual evidence every single week, and we never pretend something is explained when it honestly isn't. Full sources are on screen right now. Dr. Haney Hello on Abydos, Linda Shale's Maya Cosmos, Johann Reinhardt's Nazca Research, and the 2017 UC Berkeley Materials Study. Every single one is linked in the description. Go check them yourself. 3,000 years ago, someone carved these walls to tell their story. They spent their lives making sure future generations would understand who they were. They deserved to have that story read correctly. And so did you.